Hey guys, welcome to Talk Crypto. This is the show to break down simple concepts into bite-sized chunks and try and bring you both the news and strategies and trying to make it as easy to understand these complex processes and systems and macroeconomics. So for me, I like to break things down really simply, and that's the real emphasis of the show. So this is a new show. Really appreciate if you can give some support, subscribe and like, yeah, keep watching and keep learning. Pop your questions in the comments. I want to be trying interactive with you guys. So, if you've got questions in the live stream that you ever want to ask, you can just ask away and I'll sort of try and come around to it. Listen guys, the reason I'm jumping on live is I thought, well, I was going to do a video and maybe sort of try and make these sort of break down these sort of concepts that I want to talk about in a more of a higher quality edited. But I just thought I'd jump on on a live stream just to make it, just have a quick chat and so sort of share with you something which I think is important to cover off. And the reason it's important to cover off is I did a video talking about how to make $1 million with a simple strategy, and I was talking about the Bitcoin halving cycles, and I was then conscious that actually for a lot of you out there, and this is the show for those who are new to the space, I really want to try and help those who are maybe discovering Bitcoin for the first time, and really that's a way for me to give back to you guys, is helping new entrants into the market as I was in 2020 to try and get your head around it and understand what the hell this is all about. So for me, this channel is really about helping and understand the real basics and understand basic principles. So when I was explaining this sort of simple strategy of having a long time frame and a longer term perspective, I was talking about the halving cycles. And for some of you, you're probably thinking, well, what the hell is the halving cycles and why do they happen every 4 years and why do they matter? So I thought I want to just jump on a live stream and just quickly try and, as clearly as I possibly can, explain the Bitcoin halving cycles and why they're important. I've got my little glass of little wine, so I'll just jump straight into it. Grab your glass of wine as well, or your beer, or your cup of tea, or your coffee. Make yourself comfortable, and I'll try and explain as best I can the Bitcoin halving cycles and why they're important and why it can actually help you massively. So let's have a look. Right. So what is the Bitcoin halving? Why does it matter? Why is everyone getting excited right now with March, April 2024 just around the corner? Why is there suddenly big spikes in Bitcoin prices like yesterday and all the rest of it? Why is everyone getting excited? Okay, so let me explain it. Let me break it down. So the Bitcoin halving is an event where the block reward given to Bitcoin miners for processing transactions is cut in half after the network mines 210,000 blocks, which happens roughly every 4 years. This is written in code, so it can't be manipulated, it can't be changed. And the point is it maintains scarcity. So the reduction in the pace, and this is important, the reduction in the pace of Bitcoin issuance, in other words, the amount of Bitcoin that comes into supply. So the reduction in the pace in terms of the speed it comes into existence means that the price will increase if demand remains the same. So the amount that's coming onto the market is reduced, and if demand remains the same, the price will go up. Simple as that. And that's not even taken into consideration with increased demand. That's a whole nother thing. But just if everything remains the same. So the halving mechanism helps make Bitcoin a scarce, inflation-resistant resource. And of course, we know that is due. The next 210 blocks is going to happen roughly March, April next year. So what else do we need to take into account? Okay, so now bear in mind there are only 21 million Bitcoins that are ever going to be in existence. So the question that some of you may have, and it's a question that I had when I first sort of thinking about Bitcoin, is, well, okay, great, we've got these miners who are mining Bitcoin. They're getting Bitcoin as a reward for every block that they mint, is that the right word? Every block that they mine, sorry. But what happens once all the Bitcoin is in circulation and has been mined? And this was a question that I was like, well, okay, so does that mean the network is not safe because the miners aren't there doing what they need to do to help support and maintain the network? Well, let me just explain something. So after all 21 Bitcoins are mined, they will no longer, this is the miners, they will no longer receive block rewards and will instead be rewarded with transaction fees, assuming there are no major protocol changes to Bitcoin between now and then. So that's important to be aware. So the miners will continue to be rewarded based on the transaction fees that happen on the network. So the miners are going to continue to play a really important pivotal role in Bitcoin. This is another really sort of interesting, I found another little sort of quite an interesting sort of description of how does Bitcoin mining work and things like that. And again, I think it's quite, if I just sort of read it out, then again, hopefully it might help sort of put it into bite-sized chunks and help explain it. I can sort of break it down. And again, if you've got any questions, pop it in the comments and I'll happily run through it with you. So what is Bitcoin mining? And again, you're hearing these terms of like mining. It's like, sounds like somebody's digging for gold. And I guess it was probably, maybe that term was used deliberately because often Bitcoin is referred to as digital gold. So Bitcoin mining is the process by which transactions are verified on the blockchain. It is also the way new Bitcoins are entered into circulation, like I was just talking about. Mining is performed using hardware and software and not pickaxes to generate a cryptographic number that matches criteria. The first miner to find the solution to the problem receives the Bitcoin reward and the process begins again. So basically it's a computer algorithm, it's a calculation that these computers have to run and calculate. The Bitcoin reward that miners receive is an incentive that motivates people to assist in the primary purpose of mining. So this is it, the primary purpose of mining, which is to legitimize and monitor Bitcoin transactions, ensuring their validity. Excuse me. Let me just jump to a few other bits here. So why does Bitcoin need miners? So blockchain mining is a metaphor for the computational work that network nodes undertake to validate the information contained in blocks. So they're using compute power to validate these words. Oh, it's unbelievable. Validate what the transactions are in the block. So making sure they are correct. So in reality, miners are essentially getting paid for the work as auditors, basically, like I was just explaining. They're doing the work of verifying the legitimacy of Bitcoin transactions and being rewarded for it. This convention is meant to keep Bitcoin users honest and to prevent the problem of double spending. Yeah, I won't go into too much depth there. To explain about double spending, because again we're getting into the weeds a little bit, and I'm trying to sort of provide sort of high level simplistic understanding of the terms. If you want to dive into it, again do your own research and have a good read. So in addition to supporting the Bitcoin ecosystem, mining serves another vital purpose. It is used to release new cryptocurrency into circulation, again as I sort of alluded to earlier. But in the absence of miners, Bitcoin as a network would still exist and be usable, but there would be less incentive to participate. So sometime around 2140 is actually when all of the Bitcoin is going to be in circulation. So there'll be no more mining to happen. That's it. So in 2140, roughly, all of the Bitcoin will be in circulation. At the moment, I believe it's roughly 18.7 million Bitcoin in circulation. I think I may be slightly out. This is obviously 2023 for anyone watching the video in the future. So there's roughly, I don't know, 2 million or something like that Bitcoin left to mine. So obviously, when that happens, there'll be no more mining rewards, and the miners will be rewarded in terms of their transaction fees. What was I going to say? So what's really interesting, if you think about it, is that most of the Bitcoin is actually in circulation now. And this is really going back to my previous point on my earlier videos about a simple strategy to become a millionaire, which was a video. And I think I did another video talking about, the BlackRock ETF that's coming. And this is where it all sort of comes together, because you've got a mass adoption that's coming with massive institutions, like I mentioned in the previous video, BlackRock, and loads of others. That in conjunction with a good strategy, a long-term strategy, thinking 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, longer term rather than 6 months, a year, 2 years, in conjunction with the 4-year cycles, which you can now hopefully understand why they happen, why they're important. Again, just to repeat, the amount of Bitcoin that goes in circulation is halved every 4 years, which means if demand remains the same, the price will go up. Now, bearing in mind, adoption is increasing at an exponential rate. It's getting to be a very, very, very exciting time. So hopefully, guys, that sort of explains a bit about the Bitcoin halving cycle. You can start putting it into a bit more context around why it's important, and how it may affect price, and how having a longer term frame will really, really benefit you in the future. So listen, I'm going to wrap it up. It was just a really quick video just to try and break down that sometimes complex processes, complex terminology into hopefully bite-sized chunks. Hopefully that was made relatively simple to understand. If it's not, again, let me know in the comments. I can think of maybe another way to sort of describe it. I'm a very visual person, if I'm honest with you. So I find it much easier to understand and take in information when I see it visually. So again, I'd like to get to the point where maybe we're able to sort of do more diagrams and maybe sort of make it into more of a visual rather than me just sort of talking. But some of you might be just listening to this on a podcast, or indeed just in your pocket and and listening to the video. But either way, hopefully that was helpful. Like I said at the beginning, would really appreciate if you could like, subscribe. We're a new show. I'm really trying to help and break down these complex processes into bite-sized chunks. But I'm going to wrap it up, and really appreciate all the support that everyone's been giving me, and I'll catch up with you guys soon. Take care.